Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. How are you guys? I don't know if you've been with us already. Today has been so exciting. So many cool flavors and things that you can do with turkeys. The chefs that we've already talked to had some great ideas, and we're winding up for another good one. Welcome to our next meal cooking demo brought to you by the makers of Jennie-O Turkey brand. My name is Laurie March. I'm an HGTV remodeler, a little bit of a kitchen whisperer, and an avid urban gardener. But the thing about gardening is when you grow something, you kind of have to figure out how to cook it. So a lot of my favorite recipes have truly come from something abundant in the garden. I'm so excited to be with you guys today. Today, I think it's important to acknowledge that the holidays are going to look a little bit different. Everybody is just experiencing this Thanksgiving holiday differently, different states, different families. And I think there's going to be a ton more home cooks than ever before. You know, we usually go show up at somebody else's house, maybe bring a side dish. And I think this year, a lot of people are really trying to tackle the holidays by themselves at home. So it's pretty fabulous that Jennie-O has so many great resources for everybody. And it's all about supporting and celebrating the home cook. So this lineup of incredible demos has been amazing. And I'm really excited to connect you guys today with our next guest. Get ready. So Dan is a barbecue expert, and that's one of my favorite things to say. Dan, have you been smoking barbecues forever? I mean, I feel like I follow you on Instagram and you look like a total
Thank you. Well, I gotta say, I'm very flattered by that. No, I've been barbecuing. Well, I've been grilling off and on throughout my life, but as far as the low and slow smoking with barbecue, I've been doing it about 5 years now, religiously, frequently.
That's so cool. And I feel like smoking imparts a totally different flavor, which I imagine has a lot to do with what you're about to tell us about today.
For sure. Exactly. I'm very excited about smoking turkeys. It is my favorite way to do turkey. I just remember, I don't know about you, but growing up, it felt like whenever it was time for Thanksgiving, time to have turkey, it was like, oh, yay, turkey. Let me just drown it in gravy and I can power through this. But as I've gotten older and as I've learned, as I cooked it myself and have studied and gone through the process many times of cooking to the right temp and using the right flavors. Turkey's amazing.
Yes, I think there's so many ways to do the bird right, but it's fun to hear this different perspective about smoking. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to make for us today?
For sure. I am doing a smoked turkey. I'm going to spatchcock this bird, and I'm also going to walk through the process and show the process of how I prep the bird and then put it on the grill. And spoiler alert, I do have a finished product waiting to be shown off here later at the end.
Yay, the power of Hollywood.
Give away all the secrets.
I know. You gotta, though. You gotta.
All right. Awesome.
Awesome.
All right. So whenever you want me to begin, I'll go ahead.
Let's do it, Dan. Let's do it.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Well, I guess I've been introduced, so no need to keep talking about myself. I'll get right into action here. So I'm going to put on these nitrile gloves, great for handling raw foods. You'll want to do that. You can always wash your hands constantly if you want, but I figure it's just much easier to slap the gloves on and give it a go. But anyway, this turkey I'm working with here, 18-pound bird I got, obviously from Jennie-O. And what I'm going to do is spatchcock it. So if you're unfamiliar with the term spatchcock, that means I'm basically going to flatten it out. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to turn this bird over. And I'm going to take a hopefully sharper kitchen shears. And I'll go ahead and I'll cut along the backbone on the left side and then on the right side. Now, you can always practice this with chickens if you want. A lot smaller, quicker to cook, and easier to cut out the backbone and spatchcock. But anyway, the turkey, if you do have the strength and the leverage, you can always just start by trying to push down on the backbone of the turkey and try to crack some of the bones to make it easier to cut. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start here.
So, Dan, what's the benefit of doing this, and what are you hoping to accomplish?
That's a great question. So the reason I like the spatchcock is because, for one, it does cook a little faster. Second off, it is nice because you get that smoke flavor top and bottom of the bird. So because a lot of times people will stuff the bird with, they'll stuff it with like apples and stuff,
Yeah.
whatever else they want to do. That's great. But I like to get more smoke flavor to it. So I'll spatchcock it. So that way it gets more smoke flavor penetrated to the meat.
So it's all about the flavor here.
Yes, that's what I'm all about.
And faster cooking time sounds good too. I feel like for a lot of people, the length of time you have to cook the turkey can be a little intimidating, and it requires all of your attention for so long. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, especially for smoking too, because smoking is a low and slow process. So usually it'll take longer, but when you spatchcock it, it'll take probably about as long as you would if you cooked it in your oven at a higher temp.
Sneaky. I love that.
I'm very, very sneaky sometimes.
And kitchen shears look like the perfect tool for that. I feel like, can you spatchcock with a knife, or is that would be harder?
You can totally spatchcock with a knife. It might be a little easier for me, actually. These shears are doing okay, but anyway, it's not a smooth process. It's not like you're filleting a fish or anything. I mean, you're cutting through bone, so it is going to take a little bit of time. It's not a beautiful process, but just want to show you how you can do it here.
Yeah, I think that's okay, right? It's all about just getting it done right, taking your time, doing what you need to do. And it sounds like it's going to be a nice fast forward for the cooking.
Yeah, my wife, it drives her nuts when I spatchcock a bird. She has to leave the room. She can't stand the sound of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she knows what's going on. She's like, "Oh, you're cutting out the backbone." I'm like, bye.
Yeah, but a bunch of the best flavors come from eating the meat, so I totally get it.
True that.
Yeah. And it's, we're not actually picking up too much of the sound, so.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's okay from over here.
Well, the sound guys are doing a good job of mitigating that. So, way to go, guys. Way to go, crew.
So, chef, well, I guess expert, pro, smoke pro.
Flattered by all of them.
I'll do a smoke show.
Right on.
Oh, look, there we go. Looks like you're really knocking that out. Hey, Dan, I was going to check in with you and see what kind of flavors are you going to be working on today?
Good question. So I'm going to do some garlic and herbs, at least. Oh, my shears came apart. Some garlic herb butter. So I'm going to apply that under the skin.
Yep.
And then I'm also going to do a blend of seasonings that I got here from a friend of mine out in the Pacific Northwest. So I'm going to use his there. But anyway, so that's what I plan on using to season this bird. And also I'm going to rub the skin with some oil. Olive oil, that is, and not motor oil. But I'm going to use some olive oil there. Just had to clarify for some. But
yeah,
anyway.
It's important.
But yeah, so now that I've got the backbone finally out, I'm going to go ahead and use my palms here to help flatten open the bird a little bit. And now I'm going to flip it over. See if I get a good angle for you all.
That's looking pretty good.
Okay, that's looking good. All right. Well, looks like I need to clean off my counter here. But anyway, so now I've got this bird flattened out. That's how the bird's going to look when it's on the grill, obviously, and when it's finished. I like the look of it, especially if it's a finished product. But first step I'm going to do now is I'm going to come here to the top part of the cavity where the turkey breast are. And let's see if you guys got a good angle, I think. Let me angle it just a little bit more. But what I want to do here is I'm going to take my hand, which has a glove on, and there's tissue that connects the skin to the muscle itself, to the turkey breast. So I'm going to separate that.
Okay.
So as you can see, my hand is starting to expand in there.
Yep.
So I like to do that, dig down as far as I can on one side, and then I'll do the same on the other side. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to put garlic butter in there. Got some garlic herb butter I'm going to use. I've got pre-made. I'm going to put 4 tablespoons of garlic herb butter in. So I've got 1 tablespoon here. I'm just going to shove in almost as far as I can, just over halfway down.
Okay.
And then I'll take the other one I'll put that one there, and then I'll put 2 on the other side. So basically 2 for each side of the turkey breast.
Yep, looks good.
And then I just smash it down and rub it in.
Cool.
So you get some of that flavor in there. But another thing I'm going to do here as well is I'm going to take this rub. I'm going to pour some on my hand. So if you have a special blend of seasoning spices that you use, go ahead and take it and just pat a little bit, because I want to get that seasoning also on the meat itself, along with the garlic herb butter.
Cool. So that looks like that's really going to make such a big difference in how this bird tastes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the white meat is my favorite part, and I think part of it is because of being able to add the extra flavors to it during the cook.
Yeah.
So we've done that, and now I got my olive oil. Let me turn this back a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna take my olive oil. I'm gonna go ahead and just drizzle that on. Not gonna go too heavy on it, but one of the reasons I do olive oil, some people like to do it as a binder for their seasoning that they put on here, which is good, but I like it as well because I'm gonna try and get this skin a little crispy. And so having some olive oil on there while it cooks is gonna help that.
That's awesome. I feel like a lot of people are really into the skin, and that like crispy, crunchy, that's a lot of people's favorite part.
Yeah, a lot of people love that crisp there. I like the skin too, but I don't know. I think the meat is what stands out for me. That's what I go for number one. But yeah, the skin is like the cherry on top for me, like the whipped cream on the ice cream there, you know?
Definitely.
Okay, so you can see I'm applying about a moderate amount of seasoning on here.
Yep.
So you got that there. So one thing to keep in mind, especially when you're doing longer cooks here in the barbecue world, one thing you want to watch out for is when let me turn this a little to the side. So you see the wing right here, and you see this section here. I didn't really season that because the problem is when you season this area and it closes back up and it cooks for hours, that seasoning you put in there is going to get all goopy and sweaty, and it's just going to be gross. So I try to leave that alone as much as possible.
That's a good trick.
So just one little tip I've learned from experience there. So it's my page is Learning to Smoke. That's my account, because I feel like it's just been a constant journey as far as making turkey or just making any kind of meat, really. But
Dan, can you tell us a little bit about what's different about smoking? If somebody has never smoked anything before, doesn't have a smoker in the backyard, hasn't really paid close attention to one at a barbecue, what's different about a smoker and cooking in a smoker than would be in an oven?
So it's the flavors that you can impart to it. So you can always cook this at 250, 275 in your oven. But the thing is, you're not going to get that smoke, that hardwood smoke flavor to it that adds an extra wow element to it. It's like with briskets, for example. Like there are people who cook briskets in crock pots, and I'm sure they're okay. But if you've ever had a smoked brisket, it's going to be way better, at least in my opinion. But I'm a little biased.
And that's based on you're cooking with various woods in the smoker. Is that correct?
Yes. So some popular cooking woods that I use are like hickory, pecan, oak, cherry, apple. Those are there's alder, maple are some of the popular ones as well, and mesquite too.
Wow. And do they each taste differently? Like, can you really tell the difference in the different ones?
Some of them you can, yes. Yeah. So the hardwoods like the oak, the hickory, they're going to impart a little bit of a stronger flavor, especially mesquite. I think mesquite can be the strongest flavor to impart there. And usually people say mesquite wood for beef. So that's how they like it. But you can always do it on poultry if you want. It's just, I think the general consensus is that mesquite, a lot of people just use for beef. But yeah, fruit woods are great too. I like fruit woods a lot for either poultry or for pork. Okay. And fish too. So anyway. But yeah, with this one today, I normally like to do pecan with poultry, but today I'm actually mixing it up and I'm doing hickory wood.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so anyway, just like that, it's now ready for the grill. So one thing I like to tell people is that when you preheat, well, at least when you are prepping your food, make sure to preheat the grill first. So that way you don't just get the bird cooked, or they get the bird prepped, and then, oh, I have to go wait like 15 minutes to get this up to temperature. So that way it's just taken care of. You're good to go. Smooth transition. So, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and.
What's the heat that you're like? What's the temp that you're looking for out there in the smoker?
Okay, I am looking for, like, today I'm gonna be doing 275.
Okay.
So, yeah, I usually like 250, 275. That's usually my sweet spot as far as smoking goes. One thing I have found to help with crispier skin is you smoke it at the 250, 275, but then when you reach about, I want to say like 145, 150 or so, or even just a little earlier than that, go ahead and crank up the heat, crank it up to like 325 or so. That can help it cook faster, but also help get that skin a little crispier too.
Cool. And so you're checking that with your thermometer, and that's how you're determining that temperature.
Yep. So digital thermometer, got a handy dandy thermopen I use all the time for that. But another thing, you bring up a good point there as far as monitoring temps. What you want to do is when you monitor temps, go with the thickest part of the breast of the meat. So you want to find the thickest part of the center, and that's where you want to put your meat probe in to monitor the temp. Because if you try to monitor temps in like the leg or the wing, and it says, oh, look, it's 165, it's done. Well, that may be 165, but this part would probably be like 145, and you're going to get sick, and you're not going to enjoy that. So that's important. Yeah, so very important to make sure you're checking the temps in the right part of the turkey breast. Otherwise, it's going to be bad news.
Yeah, right. I love it. Good advice.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this out to the grill. I've got a camera that's going to follow me here, but first off, let me go ahead and wipe off some of these juices on the edge. This cutting board, I had to use a bigger cutting board here for a bigger chunk of meat like this turkey, but I got to wipe off some of the juices. Otherwise, I'd have the grooves to help catch it like I got on my smaller boards. But anyway.
That's a big bird. Hey, Dan, how big is that bird?
This one's 18 pounds.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and run out to the grill.
Here we go. Look at that. Cleared the door and everything.
Yeah, luckily I didn't mess that one up on camera.
Expert.
Live TV.
You've done this before, huh, Dan?
More than once. All right. So I'm using my pellet grill today because I need the space. I've got different grills in the backyard I like to use. I'm using the pellet grill because it's wider to fit the spatchcock bird. If I were just doing the bird regular, just whole with the backbone still in it, then I would totally just use my regular grills. But anyway, so it's all about space here. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. Actually, before I do, I'm going to go ahead, take this probe, and try and find the center of the thickest part. There we go. Normally, I like to go in from the very top and probe down, but I don't have that space, so I'm not going to do that. You know what? I'm going to improvise here. I'm just going to leave my cutting board right here on my grass. I'll get to that later.
Yeah, good place.
Because I don't want to try and spill all these turkey juices in my house.
Yeah, cleanup is really important. I think a lot of people forget that around the holidays when you have a raw bird, it's super important to make sure that you soap and water those surfaces, or
yes,
whatever it takes to make sure that you got the hands clean and the counter clean. And I think
absolutely
that's good advice.
Yeah, sorry, I'm washing my hands on camera, but I didn't want to have turkey hands while I talk to you.
I think it's really important to show people, because you do have to keep washing your hands through your day as you're cooking and as you're working on stuff. So
yes, for sure. And in fact, if you don't mind, I think I'm gonna wipe off this counter. But while I do, okay. So I'm good. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I will go. Well, first off, I'm gonna wipe it down with paper towels, and then I'm gonna get some dish soap and go ahead and wipe off the counter there. So just good tip for you guys if you happen to spill onto your counter, like get the juices on there or anything like that. Just good tip to do.
Yeah. I know a lot of chefs have sort of a like a clean spot and a dirty spot. If nobody else is in your kitchen, you kind of drop off those things that you know you're going to be cleaning later to kind of keep yourself moving through your cooking process. I find myself, it's helpful to have that sort of organized so that you're not, you know, like sometimes you just don't have time to do the like extra cleaning. So you just knock out what food safe on your surface like you are right now. And then you can kind of follow up with cleaning some other stuff later if you need to. So
exactly. One thing I find, especially with barbecue, which is probably the same for those that love to cook indoors, is that it's just, you're constantly cleaning up after yourself, not the cook. So it's a lot of fun.
I think that's nice though. You know, I personally have definitely made an absolute wreck of my kitchen here and there when you're making something that has a lot of timing involved, you know, and so you just sort of leave your messes as you go. And so it is nice to be able to do a little cleanup and get that clear work surface for the next round of magic.
Yeah, the family appreciates that too.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people on TV are going to appreciate that as well.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I figure now, while that bird is on the grill, I can bring up a couple things. First, during the cook, what I like to do is I like to get a little squirt bottle filled up with 50-50 mix of apple juice and apple cider vinegar. And then I'll go out and I'll spritz about once an hour. And I do that to help keep the bird from drying out. But also, as you spray that on there and it cooks, it should help the skin a little bit, get crispy. So anyway.
Cool. That's a great tip. Did you figure that out yourself, or is there some, like, how did you learn? Is this a trial and error thing?
This one is, it's trial and error, but also I've been able to glean information off of friends that I've made along my barbecue journey, especially on social media. It's been a really cool experience. I remember when I first started my page, Learning to Smoke, it was about basically me just buying a smoker and trying things out, posting my successes, posting my failures. You know, we'll see what happens here. And I was very surprised at the how overly supportive people are on there. And so I've been able to make a lot of good friends, been able to learn a lot from other people. And now I feel like I'm at a point where I can share that knowledge with other people while I still learn myself.
Yeah, I love that. And it's nice to have somebody you can ask when you're stuck on something. I feel like people have a lot of questions about turkeys, and it's great to know. Also, the Jennie-O has a ton of resources. There's the 1-800 Jennie-O, or let's see, let me get it right.
It was 1-800 turkeys, right?
1-800 turkeys.
There you go.
And, I mean, you can even text if you have turkey questions. Did you know that? You can text the word turkey to 73876. I'm going to try it and see what happens. I'm super curious. But if you have turkey questions, there are resources out there for you. And it's great to share with other chefs, especially the home cooks who are learning how to do something new this year.
Yeah. That's one thing is I'm noticing that barbecue, outdoor cooking has really taken off this year. Like I feel like it's been growing the last few years, but this year I think it's really skyrocketed, and I love it. I love that people are finding a way to try and enhance their meals and just try to find a way to, you know, provide better meals for the family. But also I feel like barbecue has always been about like togetherness. We can be together apart. We can share it on social media if we need, but even in small groups we can gather. And I feel it's just, I don't know. I feel like my grills outside of my patio are like the focal point of my backyard because people love to just gather around a fire and talk. So it's, I don't know, it's a very social thing. So that's another thing I love about barbecue.
It's kind of primal too. It takes you back to a time when we stood over fires more often, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly.
All right. So what's next, Dan?
Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about brining a little bit. So I just want to show you a brine bucket I've got here. So brining is going to be crucial to helping with the flavor of your turkey. So brine is going to be a simple solution of kosher salt and sugar and water. But anyway, the reason that you brine is because it's going to, over time, as you brine, it's going to help that meat become more tender. But not only that, but it's also going to help bring out the flavor, though, especially those salts. They're going to help bring out that flavor. And the reason you do the sugar is because it's going to help the browning of that skin. And I've got a finished product I'm going to show you here soon. And you can see Exhibit A here in a little bit. But anyway,
when did you make, like, what's the timeline for brining for this in particular? Is it different for smoking than grilling, or like give us a little background on the timeline?
So when I'm doing turkeys, I like to brine at least 24 hours. Ideally, they say 24 to 48.
Okay.
So with this turkey, I did 24 hours of a brine. And then at least the turkey that I'm going to show you here, I did 24 hours of a brine. And then I rinsed it off afterward. And then I put it back in the fridge, set it on a tray and overnight. And the reason I did that is to help the crispiness of the skin. So if you let it air dry while still staying cool, it's going to help that skin be crispier.
Interesting. So you are rinsing it off. What's the rinse about?
Well, so that way your bird doesn't taste too salty.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to rinse off all the stuff you put in there. Like the brine that I did for these turkeys is I did 2 gallons of water, which I did in a food grade bucket. And the reason I brought out the bucket here is because you can always get a 5 gallon bucket from your hardware store or a home improvement store or whatever. But the food grade bucket or the brining bucket here is actually food grade. So the thing you got to watch out for that, especially when you're doing longer brining, like with turkey, you're going to have, where it's like 24 hours. This bucket was made with, wasn't made with those chemicals that the other plastics are made with that may affect the flavor of your meat. So
Yeah,
just be
that's a
careful about
really,
that.
that's a great tip. I think the food safety, making sure that that plastic is food safe is awesome. Hey,
Mhm.
Dan, I want to just call out a comment or two. We got two different questions about the spatchcocking. First question was, do you save the backbone? I know you're demoing this for us for TV, but
Mhm.
traditionally, is there a use for that? Are you using that for a stock or anything else that you would accomplish with that?
You can use that for a stock if you want. I usually once in a while get clever and I'll keep that. But keep in mind that, especially with Jennie-O turkeys, that they do have a turkey neck in there, so you can always put the backbone in there too when you're making your stock.
Got it. Okay, then the second question was from Bobby. Did he leave the breastbone in? I've seen several videos that remove it, and I don't know the pros and cons.
Mhm.
So, thoughts on that?
I leave the breastbone in when I'm spatchcocking a turkey. So I'll take if I've got a turkey breast turkey that I'm going to do, then I'm going to sometimes I like to trim out the turkey breast themselves and take them apart from the bone. So you'll cut out the neck on the back, kind of like what we did with the spatchcock, where you saw where I just cut out the backbone and flattened it. You'll cut out that neck part, flatten it, and then you'll start like you can peel out that breastbone there, and then you can cut along the ribs. And anyway, but no, I don't personally do that, and I've never had a problem.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, 24 hours, maybe 48 hours of brining. Then there's a rinse. It goes in the fridge, and then let's pick up from there.
Okay. And then you pull it out, and we basically are right where we were started here. So we'll have the bird there on the cutting board, and then cut out the backbone, spatchcock it. And then you flip it over and you get your garlic butter and you shove it in. Like you separate the skin between the breast and the skin,
Mhm.
and you put in the garlic butter and you put in the seasoning. Then you do oil on top and put some more seasoning on top, and then throw it out on the grill.
And then the magic begins.
Yeah. And speaking of magic, if you don't mind, I need to step off camera here and grab the finished product.
Let's do it. That's so exciting.
All right.
I love it.
Okay. Got to walk slowly here. All right. There we go. So here we are. Here is the finished product, and here's what it will look like. I wish we had smell-o-vision so you can smell this, but man, it smells incredible.
That looks beautiful, Dan. So pretty.
Thank you very much. And the great thing about this too is like when you spatchcock, removing the legs is going to be very easy to do
Yeah.
because you've already flattened it out. You kind of just pull the leg, bring your knife over to trim it out, and then trim off the skin, and then just pop them right off.
This is such a nice presentation. I feel like whether you're serving this to a lot of people or you're just sitting down with your own sort of personal family, this is such a like hero moment when you come to the table with this, right?
Uh, yeah, it is. It is. It's definitely a wow factor when you pull out the turkey and they're like, "Whoa, all right, I guess I'm excited for Thanksgiving turkey now." So I feel like some of us are still trying to dispel the old myth of just turkey being bland and being uneventful. But yeah, smoking turkey is what really got me into love to eating turkey year round.
Yes, it looks so good. So
Thank you.
I don't know if this guy's okay to eat or if this is the magic of television, but maybe you could give us an idea of what this turkey would taste like with all the flavors that you put together.
Okay, so you're gonna definitely taste some of that the savoriness of the meat itself. So, and not only that, but it's gonna be very tender, very juicy because of the brining that you did and cooking it to the right temperature of 165. And anyway, so yeah, you can. I like to let it rest before I cut into it, and usually I'll let it rest. On turkeys, I probably let them rest about a half hour before I slice into them. And the reason I do that is because even though you've pulled the meat off the grill, it's still hot inside. It's still cooking. It's still building up temperatures. So if you start slicing it right away, all those juices are going to leak out and you're going to lose flavor.
That would
So
be
that's,
terrible.
yeah, exactly. So that's another thing. That's another little secret there to let y'all know is resting is key. So rest, like when it comes to a bigger chunk of meat like this, especially with the turkey breast, I'd say let it rest about a half hour before you slice into it.
Okay, which is like perfect time to torture your family. It smells so good. It's just
Yeah.
sitting there staring at them and they all have to wait for it.
Yeah. My family loves it when I bring the meat in and I tell them they can't touch.
So rude.
Yeah, I know, I know. And it smells really good to me right now. Like I am so tempted just to rip off a leg here and start eating on camera, but I'm going to be as civil as I can. And yeah, I'm good.
Well, you can let it rest for a little bit and then maybe by the end you can dig in. Hey, so there's a couple notes here, Dan. Alistair wants to know how many times you had to practice before everything came out this perfectly. I mean, you are on this journey of learning how to be a awesome pit master. So
Mm.
how many practice runs before it's perfect?
It all varies. I think it varies on how much you've studied and how much you've prepped. Because you got the study, the prep, and then you got the execution. So with that, I feel like when my first turkey I ever smoked, I remember thinking it was awesome. I was like, great. I don't want to do anything else. But the more I did my research after that, I started looking at to the spatchcock method, to putting butter, putting seasonings under the skin, just to even make it that much better. The thing is, you got to start somewhere. I feel like a lot of times we are intimidated because we'll see a finished product on look at this like nice fancy picture. Maybe you look at this turkey and you think, oh wow, this turkey looks, lights out. Um, well, keep in mind that it may not look like this the very first time you cook it, and that is okay. That doesn't mean it's going to taste bad. I've had plenty of barbecued meats that I've done that have looked good and tasted bad, and I've also had it vice versa where it didn't look so great but tasted amazing.
So funny.
So
That's good though, because that's good advice. I think that's a lot of pressure for the home cooks to be feeling like it needs to look perfect and taste perfect. So most
mm,
importantly, we want it to taste good, right? So
for sure, and I think it's an interesting thing here with social media. I think all of us like to put our best foot forward and show the best product, the best angle that we can.
yes.
And, I do that, but I also once in a while like to show when I screw up, especially following my stories. I mean, those that follow me, like I start filming as I'm cooking. And if I screw up, I can't just like abandon ship. I gotta, I'll own up to it. Cause I think even the most experienced chefs, most experienced pit masters screw up sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's helpful too because sometimes what you learned is the save, right? So there's so many things you can do along the way to sort of save the meal or
Mhm.
save, like and those solutions make you a better cook because you figured it out and then it's in your back pocket for next time. So, you know
Yeah.
how to do it better.
And truth be told, cooking this turkey this morning, as I was saying earlier, I did this on the pellet grill for the space, and my grill actually died on me in the middle of the cook.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, oh no, I panicked a little bit, but anyway, I got things back up and running, but still was able to improvise and get this end result here.
Wow. Yeah, that would make me nervous. So when you're bringing a smoker or a grill back up, is it really different? I mean, I know a smoker has some like sensitivities, so you got to get the temperatures right. So
Mhm.
is it hard to bring it back up to temp?
It depends on the smoker that you're using. So, like with the pellet grill, it's electric. You just plug it in, you set the dial, you're great. But I know when I'm cooking on my charcoal and wood fueled grills, if you start to lose temps, you mess with the dampers with, on top and bottom of the vents to help the airflow, because that's going to be the biggest thing. So if you're cooking this on a charcoal grill or even a wood, like a old stick burner, yeah, just know that the dampers, the air vents, are going to be key to managing your temps. But you can also add more of your heat source if you need during the cook for those. Like you can add more coals or whatever, but I recommend burn those in a separate chimney starter before putting them in. Because if you just toss coals right in that are unburned into the thing, then that really smoky charcoal flavor is going to be imparted to the food and it won't taste as great. You'll
Got it.
taste more charcoal smoke than you'll taste hickory smoke, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
interesting. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes a lot of sense. So I know that when you're a smoker and a barbecue person, the meat is the main event, but I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit about what are your favorite side dishes that could pair with this, and like what, whether you fast forward a week to what you're actually going to serve or what you've served
Mhm.
in the past or loved, what do you suggest?
I love traditional meals, traditional side dishes. I love the green bean casserole. I love the yams. You can even like lately I've been doing sweet potatoes. Like you just bake them like baked potatoes, and then you just slice them down the middle. Throw some like cinnamon honey butter in there, some marshmallows on top. Oh, it's so good. So I love doing that too. Brussels sprouts, actually, roasted Brussels sprouts with some bacon. That's a pretty good side for that too.
Yeah, those are fancy. I love your sweet potato. To me, that's my favorite. Is that the sweet potato or yam dish with the marshmallow all over it? I feel like that's always my job
Mm.
every year, is to provide the marshmallow coating, and then it's like you want to go back and do it again, because I know everybody takes more of the marshmallow than the yam, so you got to go throw it back in the oven with more marshmallows and like make it happen.
Yeah, I made one for my kids just to have them sample it the other day because I was messing around. So I made one, gave some to my kids. All they did was eat the roasted marshmallows off of it and then left the sweet potato. So there was that.
Yeah, I love it. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's your job at Thanksgiving, is to like pick and choose your very favorite stuff, right?
Hmm. For sure. I mean, it's a feast. I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite meal of the year.
It is. That's cool. I was just going to ask you. So, what is the weirdest thing that you've ever flavored or seasoned a turkey? Have you ever like gone crazy and tried something super funky, and did it work or did it not work?
With turkey, I have not done anything too crazy yet. So I remember when I first got into barbecue, I used to love sweeter flavors, and so I would do more seasonings with sugar based in it. And I mean, it tastes good, but I think over the last few years or so, my taste buds have evolved, and I prefer the more savory aspect of it with all the meats that I do. So if
Uh,
there's anything kind of crazy I did, I was putting like more sweeter flavors to beef, and even to poultry. But now I like to go more savory on those.
I love it. And are you we just talked about this with Chef Adrian. Are you a stuffing in the bird or a stuffing out of the bird? It seems like with the spatchcock, maybe that's not quite as much of a possibility, but generally speaking, which way do you vote?
I vote outside, and that's because I like to cook my birds this way now, and yeah, I can't really put it in there.
Yeah, it's looking good. And what about the desserts? What do you think, Dan? What's on your dessert palette?
Oh man, well, pumpkin pie is always my jam. So I can even do a sweet potato pie with that. I also like pecan pie with a little whipped cream on the side, and I actually have a recipe that I do. I do smoked candied pecans, and then I'll use those smoked candied pecans and put them into a pecan pie.
Oh,
It's amazing.
that sounds incredible. Can you, I mean, if you've got a smoker going, can you do any of your side dishes in a smoker? Or is that, like, does that make sense for any of those flavors?
If you have space, absolutely. It also depends on what kind of wood you're smoking with and what kind of side dish you're doing. So, for example, let's say with this, let's say, because sometimes I do cherry wood with poultry, and let's say I can do that on, if I have no space in my grill, I'll have the bird on one side, and then I'll take my little pan um, of roast, of whatever, sorry, of Brussels sprouts and I'll just roast them there. So one thing I like to do as well is if it's not turkey, I'll take a chicken. I'll take it's a lot smaller than this. I'll take a chicken, I'll spatchcock it. I'll cook it on the grill at like 350, 375. And then I'll throw my Brussels sprouts on there too, on a little sheet pan with some bacon, and I'll roast them while they cook.
Oh, that sounds so good. Hey,
Yeah,
got
it's
a
awesome.
question. Got a question in the chat for you. How long does an 18-pound turkey typically take to smoke? It's a good question.
That is a good question. So since I spatchcocked this is an 18-pound bird, and it took me 4 hours to do. And that's including me losing temps, my grill shutting off in the middle.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, it'll take that. Like I know normally they say if it's like a 350-degree oven that you're cooking it in and the bird is whole, I think it'll normally take about the same amount of time, but yet you're going about 75 to 100 degrees lower, and yet you still can cook it the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And it'll
Sounds
taste better, in my opinion.
like a recipe for a juicy bird.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love it. Okay, so the main event is Thanksgiving, but clearly we all end up with some of those leftovers if we've done it right. What's your favorite way to do leftovers with a turkey?
Well, turkey pot pie. I love that. So you can take the neck, you can take the backbone if you want, make that boil it down to a chicken stock or a turkey stock, I should say, and then you can take some of that smoked turkey, and yeah, the next day or two you make a turkey pot pie. You seriously taste the difference compared to a regular turkey pot pie, compared to one with smoked meat. Like you'll definitely taste the difference, and you'll never want to go back.
I love it. Let's see. Do we have any other questions, you guys? Anybody have anything else they want to ask Dan? A lot of people in this chat are your fans, by the way. You have a
Oh,
lot of
they
people.
are. Oh, thank
Yeah,
you. That's
they
awesome.
follow you on Instagram and they've been enjoying your journey.
Well, I'm honored that they came on to watch. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
They said you have a great Instagram and YouTube page to learn from. I feel like learning how to cook can be intimidating. And so around the holidays, it's great to have people like you and Jennie-O that you can reach out to when you have questions, because guaranteed you're going to have questions, right? If you're new at this,
Mhm.
it's so helpful to have people you can reach out to.
For sure. And in fact, on Monday, I'm going to be working the phones for Jennie-O, so for their hotline. So I'll be doing that. I think it's Monday in the morning time. So from morning to about lunch, I'll be helping with the calls there.
Yes, I love that. So if I call in and ask you how long to microwave my bird for, you're going to have an answer for me?
Yeah, you probably won't like it, but yeah.
I was just saying on our last interview, I pranked my mom with that one year, and that's about the most silent I've ever had an exchange with her on the phone in some years. And then she was just speechless.
So she still talks to you, is what you're saying?
She does. I mean, I
Okay.
was
Okay. Good.
for her. I'm in LA and she's in Baltimore, so I was not preparing the bird for our holidays. But she was real confused.
That's awesome. I can't say I've ever been asked that before.
Oh, well, I mean, who knows? As you man the chat, the call-in line, I imagine you're going to get some fun questions.
Yeah, probably so. That's okay. I'll look forward to it.
Yeah, so cool. Well, I think we're going to wind it down. Is there anything else, Dan, you want to tell us about smoking or this turkey in particular?
Don't be intimidated. I think that's the big thing there. I remember even when I bought my first smoker 5 some odd years ago, that I was very reluctant. I was just like, oh, what if I'm not good at it? What if I invest this money and this time into it and I don't like it? But you just got to take a risk. Got to take a chance. I did that 5 years ago, and here I am now, being able to share this on camera with you guys. So even with certain cuts of meat, you may be intimidated by because it's a big hunk of meat to cook. But honestly, you've got this. Feel free to reach out to me through Instagram, through direct messaging if you need to, or you can even call in on Monday to 1-800-turkeys. I mean, I'll be happy to help you out and guide you along if I need. I mean, you got this.
Yes, I love it. Such a good message for the home cooks. That's so fabulous. So, guys, if you want these recipes, Dan and Jennie-O are going to have them on their social and links so you can follow up later. You can call them on Monday. How cool is that? You can have your own personal chat. So much fun. Thank you so much, Dan. It was really wonderful. I love everything you made. I'm actually putting a smoker in at my house soon, so I'll probably be
Are you?
calling on Monday with lots of questions.
Hey, let's chat. That's fine.
Yes, and guys, stick around. It's not going to be long, about 15 minutes from now. Our final guest is Chef Richard Ingram. He's cookbook author, private chef to Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. So much going on with his new cookbook, Eating Well to Win, Inspired Living Through Inspired Cooking. He cooks for celebs and athletes all the time, always helping people reach their peak performance with food. I think it's going to be so much fun. So come back 15 minutes or stick around. Just go grab a coffee like me, and we'll come back and talk to Chef Richard Ingram next. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.